life and circumstances, they're going to come. Surprises are going to come, emergencies are going to come. But the most important thing is that for you to mentally stay grounded.
This episode is brought to you by Deron, Essex Consulting. Deron is an international life coach, keynote speaker, and workshop facilitator. He helps entrepreneurs heal themselves from their trauma and wounds from the past while recreating their self-image to be a more confident and braver version of themselves. To learn more, check him out online at deronessex.com/schedule. That is DERONESSEX.com/schedule. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Prospecting Show. Today we have Deron Essex on the show. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Absolutely great today. So let's kick things off right away. Give the listeners a little bit of background on who you are.
Yes. So I am a spiritual life coach, and I primarily help entrepreneurs and other people who truly want to live the life that they want. I help them to heal from their traumas and unresolved issues from the past, and I help them to reprogram their mindset so they can get out of low confidence, negative thinking, and truly have the abundance and inner peace in their internal life and in their finances and their business.
We're starting off serious here today on the show. So let's break that down for everybody, right? So ideal person, they're an entrepreneur. They got a million balls in the air. They're juggling a bunch of things, and they have some stuff that's going on. Where do you start with those individuals? How do you kind of get the lay of the land with them and say, this is where you're at and this is, where you're trying to go? How do you start that process?
Right. So first off, I tell everybody that your business is only a reflection of your mind. Just like everything, like your relationship is only a reflection of where you're at mentally, same with your business. So normally when people come and talk to me in our first conversation, I kind of get some data points as to where they're at now, like with their traumas, with their negative thinking, like where their finances is in their business, where their thoughts are when they're by themselves. And I just get these data points, and then I help them to, have a bolder and bigger vision for their life. Because most entrepreneurs, they think that negative thinking is just natural, but that's almost like it's okay to just drink poison, And so I get them to understand that no, it's possible to have nothing but positive self-affirming thoughts running through your head 24/7. I mean, that's what some of the top, players in the business, like they just have these natural loops automatic. So I help them to realize that it's possible. Their ability to live at a way bigger state is way possible than what they're currently thinking.
And how do you transition that for people? So there's a lot of people who get into an entrepreneurial journey. They start a business, and the excitement is going up, right? We're starting to build, we're starting to get better, the business is growing, and then something happens, right? This happens with all small businesses, right? And they do this big crash down, right? And there's these funny memes or really graphics online that you see. It's like the entrepreneurial journey. It's like, this is awesome, I love this, and then it crashes, and then it's like, oh, I got a deal done, it's going back up, and then it crashes. So in that process, a lot of that's really mindset, right? Because what's happening is the outside world's kind of giving you some circumstances, and you're looking at it and saying, how am I going to respond to those circumstances? Because nothing really changed, right? Okay, you lose $500, you gain $500, you lose it, you gain it. Like, it is what it is. But how do you prevent that kind of up and down in your mind?
Yeah. So it's really, it's kind of like a wave. And what I tell people is that life and circumstances, they're going to come. Surprises are going to come, emergencies are going to come. But the most important thing is that for you to mentally stay grounded. That's the most important thing, because what happens is that when we see, let's say, right, we get a client, or I remember back in my first journey, like I would just share my own vulnerable experiences. When I first started entrepreneurship, and I remember, I was selling my programs, and I would get somebody to buy a $1,000 program, but then they would refund. And then internally, I was shut down. And it's because, we haven't built a strong, invincible mindset to weather the storms. I was listening to this audiobook by Dan Pena, who's
I know he is. Yeah.
And in his book called The First 100 Million, he said, to survive in business, just like in war, you have to be the toughest on the battlefield. And it's that same mentality that you have to have in business, especially because there's so many entrepreneurs, popping up every single day. And most of them, they think that mindset is over there and like taking care of myself is over there and business is all over there. But no, they're actually connected, right? Like through links. So it's about really understanding that shit's going to happen, but it's about how do you respond to it and how do you ground yourself so that you're not overthinking or so that you're not, taking this one tiny little circumstance or these 3 people that told you no, and then blanketing that belief across every other platform in your life. Like it's really understanding that, okay, in any process of manifesting anything, there will be temporary inconvenience and understanding that this is only just a temporary inconvenience. Oh, I didn't get any clients this month. It's not saying, oh man, everything's going, man, like, no, it's a temporary inconvenience. Who is going to yield first? You or reality, right? Like most people just have you, like they may get hit in the mouth 1-2 times, then they quit. But
yeah,
you really build anything powerful, if you just quit. Like you have to understand that you're going to get hit in the mouth. You are going to get tripped. But it's about really waking up every single day. Like Kobe Bryant said, I looked up to him so much. Waking up every single day, identifying your weakness mentally, working on that day in and day out. And then in 20 years from now, you'll be in a completely different state. But it's really about having that rock solid mindset and tuning it every single day consistently to be a lifestyle to make sure that no negative thoughts, no negative beliefs are festering and growing inside of you, which could ultimately destroy your business.
And when you say that, the part that I think is critical for people to understand is it's really not what happens to you, right? So like Dan Pena, he says the same thing, right? It's not about what happens to you. It's right. What you do back against that, right? What's your reaction to it? And you hear a lot of these people, the Dan Locks of the world, Grant Cardone's the world. All those guys are talking about it doesn't really matter what happens to you. It doesn't. What right. matters is how you respond to that and how you build a system or put something in place that's going to allow you to be unstoppable at some point, right? Mm-hmm. If you get the train moving, like if you put something on the railroad, it's not going to affect the train. It's going right through it, right? A tree falls down, it just crushes right through it because it has enough momentum and enough stability and enough, vision to go that direction. There's really no way for you to stop it. And in business, what a lot of people do is they get going and they do have that tree fall down and they just totally stop everything, right? And then they get in this mindset, kind of like what you're talking about, like, oh, everything's going wrong. It's like, no, dude, just pick the tree up and move it. Right. You know what I mean? It's really not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. It reminds me of this quote that Tony Robbins says, he says, if you ask anybody, why did you fail? And then they say, oh, I didn't have the resources. Oh, I didn't know how to do it. He said, no, you failed because you didn't have the emotional resource. You didn't have the emotional fire in the belly of the gods to keep going. I remember, I have a story. I remember when I first got started in my entrepreneur journey like 3-4 years ago, and it was May 2018 and I just graduated college. And I only made $100 that month in May because I had to also make sure I didn't fail classes so I could graduate. Came back home, right? And I moved back into my parents' house and I was like, okay, I know I don't want to stay here for the rest of my life. I know in 3 months I want to move into my own condo, this place I'm in now, right? So I only made $100 that May. And everybody around me, my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, they were all like, you should get a job, so you can save up some money to, get this condo. And I was like, no, like I'm going to sit my ass down. I'm going to go in that garage. I'm going to make this happen through hell or high water. It's about having that mindset. Like, I don't give a if a tsunami come my way. I don't give a if an earthquake come. I don't give a I will do anything to get through it. And it's about having that mindset. Like if you, think that one temporary, like failure isn't failure. Failure is only showing you something that's not working, something that you have to iterate mentally, emotionally, and strategy-wise to keep going. And so I remember May made $100. Then June didn't make anything. Everybody was like, oh my God, it was a temporary inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
It's just a temporary inconvenience. It's just the universe saying, okay, how bad do you want this? Okay, right. How much do you want this? Then I remember 2 months went by and I made $1,000 that next month, blew my mind, right? Then I was moving into this condo in August. And I needed at least $2,000 to move in and get all my stuff, right? Okay. But a week before, I only had $500 in my account. And I told my girlfriend, I said, this is how crazy I am. And this is how much faith I got in myself and everything I've been doing for these past, like my whole life.
Pressure's on, right?
Kobe time. Fourth quarter, let's get it. So I said, I'm going to take 100 of these dollars when I didn't even have money for rent. I didn't even have money for any of that, right? I needed $2,000, but I was going to take 100 of those dollars, put a down payment on my bed for my apartment. My girlfriend thought I was that crazy, yo. She was like, are you insane? Like, you never have the money for rent. But I understood, like, reality is conforming to my dominant belief. So if I keep pressing and keep projecting my beliefs onto reality and keep taking action, it must yield to my manifestation. So I put it down on faith. Then I just kept taking action. The next day I closed a client for like $3,000. He paid $2,000 up front. And I was able to move into my apartment.
There we go. Yeah, made it. And it's crazy how it works like that too. A lot of people will look at their circumstances and say, well, I don't know how it's going to happen. And the question really isn't how, right? The question is, why is it going to happen, right? And the why is going to be, if you put in the work every single day and you have some kind of plan, it doesn't have to be a perfect plan, it needs to be some kind of plan to move the needle forward just a little bit, then you're going to be able to achieve that. And the interesting kind of mentality that people don't really have is that they're overestimating what they can do in a long period of time, and they're underestimating what they can do in a short period of time. And so if you wake up every single day and you send 10,000 emails today and 0 tomorrow, I promise today was more productive than tomorrow. It might not be the right thing. It might not be the perfect thing, but it is moving the needle forward, right? Same thing. If you message 50 people on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is every single day, that is going to have a bigger impact than if you message 0 people. And the thing that I learned, I kind of self-remembered, I guess you would call this, in the last 6 months, is when your appointment calendar is not looking good, when it's got a lot of white in it, pick up the phone, go to the phone book, dial the first person, leave them a voicemail, go to the next one, dial the next person, leave a voicemail. If you call 300 people, you will have people call you.
Absolutely.
Right? Outflow equals inflow. So in anything, business, life, any practice you're doing, anything you're building, the more people you know, the more people you talk to, and the more outflow you do, ultimately, the more inflow you're going to get. And if you listen to this podcast and kind of go back probably 3 episodes from when this actually gets launched, you'll hear one with Ravi Abuvala. And he and I are 100% on the same page with this. The only thing that matters in business is outflow. If you outflow enough, people will inflow. They will know you. You won't have to worry about brand. You won't have to worry about hardcore marketing, because people are going to know who you are because you've done so much outflow. People are like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Then they start asking questions, and they will come back because they know you create a valuable service. Does that mean you just take people's money and run? No, absolutely not. You have to create value for them in your service. But if you have the best service on the planet and people don't know you, it doesn't really matter, right?
Absolutely. And I think, it's also so interesting because most entrepreneurs, like they start poor. Like I remember I grew up in, Southside Chicago in a very like poor neighborhood, and, money was always a big belief for me, but I had to understand. And this is what I kept telling my girlfriend and my family. I said, look, you cannot think from your current circumstance. That's only gonna get you more of what you currently got. You got to think bigger. Like my mentality is think expansive as fuck or nothing. Just expansive or nothing.
You might as well go all in, right? There's no more effort to go all in than half in. Let's just be real.
Exactly. So
that's mindset though, what you're talking about, which is when, for small business owners, when they're starting, kind of what you're talking about, if you have a plan and you have a service that you can offer to people, service, product, whatever it is, it's not about making the perfect service. It's about telling the right people that could buy your service that you have that service, right? So if you say, listen, I have a consulting business, I got a coaching business, I have a marketing business, an ads business, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is go, listen, I have X. Do you want X? Right. Don't worry about the price yet. Do you want X? Right. If they say yes, then you say, what is that worth to you? And you can figure that out backwards to figure out what the price is. Like one of the things that we do is we focus a lot on business to business prospecting. That's a huge thing we do. We don't do consumer work. And we have lots of people who come to us and say, well, I have something I want to sell on Amazon. Listen, we don't do consumer work. What you want is not what we have. It doesn't matter what the price is. The price could be free. You still don't want what we have because it's the wrong service for you. Absolutely. So matching the product or service to the customer up front to create the value before you change the price, That is the most important thing in terms of having good relationships with your clients.
Absolutely. And I think that's so powerful because, and I was just talking about this like earlier to somebody from France. I was saying, most people just try to sell just to sell. But it's like, if there isn't no alignment, like my mentality is that, look, if our boats don't float down the same stream, that's okay. If they float down the same stream and there is alignment, that's also okay. And it's like on that first call, just like the first thing I tell people, I say, look, I'm here to ask you questions to see if I can help you. If I can, I will transparently let you know that, and you will feel that confidence from my voice. If I ask some questions and I see I cannot help you or my services are not the best fit for what you need to jump in your life, I'm gonna transparently let you know that, because the last thing you want, and like I understand, if you are a first-time business owner, you just want that sale. But the fucked up thing is that if you don't have that perfect alignment, and you get a client who really don't need your services, they're going to refund. They're going to have a bad, say for you. Like, it's going to be disalignment. And then you can't get in your flow with whatever service you provide because that person doesn't need it, right? So I always let people know, if I can help, I'll let you know that. If I can't, I'll let you go, because it's no sense in you paying me like $5,000 to me help you, but then you don't need the help. And then now I got your money, but now it's like weird because you kind of want your money back because you didn't have, because like the service and the fit wasn't right. So it's all about that right fit. And what I recognize is that once I tell people the kinds of people that I work with, that I only work with on that first phone call, and the kinds of people I do not work with, the polarity, oh my gosh, it shows them, oh, if I'm lazy, if I'm shiny object syndrome, if I'm still in information gathering mode, if I'm not prepared to invest in myself, this guy doesn't kind of work with those people. He only works with people who have a burning desire to win, who are willing to take responsibility for the undermining performance and truly grow. Like, by separating the wheat from the terry, they then themselves tell you, no, I'm in that group. No, fuck that group. I'm in that group. I want to be one of the people that you work with.
Right. And that qualification process is really important to get right, because when we sit down with clients, it's the exact same thing, right? We talk to them and say, listen, we have a service that solves a very, very specific problem. If you don't have this problem, but you just think our service is cool, we're the wrong people for you, because you're not going to put in the effort on your side that is required for this whole system to be successful. And on top of that, you won't be satisfied no matter what we do. We could do everything right. And if you're expecting something different than what we're going to deliver on, it doesn't matter. Even when you're talking about the groups that you're in, it almost doesn't matter what group you're in. If your mind is whacked, you're never going to be satisfied, right? You could be a non-buyer today. You could be saying, I'm just looking around. Just looking around means you don't really know what you want.
Right.
That's all it means. You don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, it's going to be very difficult for you to make a decision. So you could have problem X, I could have solution Y, and they could be perfectly matched. But if you're in the I'm looking around stage, it doesn't matter, because we cannot do business together. It's impossible.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's a critical piece. And so with people that, work with you, what do you find their biggest barrier is before they start working with you? Not in the sales process, not necessarily in starting working with you, but what is it that they're trying to solve?
Right. The main thing, especially with entrepreneurs that I work with, is their own identity. That is their biggest problem, their own identity. Because what happens is that they have this goal, right? Say, for instance, their goal is to make 4 figures a month in a business, or 5 figures a month in a business, or get like 5 clients this week, whatever, right? Say that's the goal. Then they have this character that they have created in their mind from all of their experiences up until this point, right? So most people that I work with are in between the ages of 20 and 60, right? So that's like decades of old programming replaying, right? So they understand that, there's an awareness gap, but the problem is that the person that they are right now is not the same person that is needed to get them to the goal X. It's the same thing as the caterpillar and the butterfly situation, right? They come in as a caterpillar, right? They understand that they want to fly. They want to get whatever goal is in their head. But the thing is, their identity, the caterpillar can't fly. It's slow as shit. It just moves around slugs and shit like that. So their identity is in disalignment with their goals. So because that happens, self-sabotage is inevitable. So they're going to self-sabotage themselves, their relationship. They're going to sabotage business calls unconsciously without them even knowing it. And they're going to even sabotage like the money flow by the words they say on a call. But now you know. So it's really helping them to understand that you have to create a new character that can effortlessly achieve these goals. Just like the butterfly, right? When the butterfly comes out that cocoon, it doesn't got to think to fly. It just does. And when you get it to the unconscious level of thinking and acting and behaving throughout the day, based on their identity, that's when the goal just effortlessly come through.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is very true. There's one thing in the sales process that we've learned a little bit over time, and the real Brad Lee, he'd appreciate this if maybe we'll tag him in it after, but he calls it ceiling scraping. And really what that comes down to is your value of your service, and most people make their price around their value. So you think your service is worth X, so you say that's the price. But if I came to you and said, listen, in order to generate this kind of business or get this kind of consulting, it normally costs you $50,000. But we've gotten rid of all the stuff that doesn't matter, so now it's going to cost you $5,000. Now in your mind, your price anchor is $50,000. You're thinking, holy, this is an expensive service. But I've anchored your mind against that $50,000 number, but I've told you, listen, our service is actually only a tenth of that. It's $5,000 because we've gotten rid of all the shit that doesn't matter, takes you time, and doesn't get you goals. That's it. So when they're going through this process with you, and I would imagine that a lot of these people have this $50,000 mentality or this huge mentality, but it's stuffed with all this shit that doesn't matter, right? They think, I got to check my emails every day. I got to check my texts every day. I got to check Facebook every day. You don't. Turn off your email, turn off your phone, turn off Facebook, and watch what happens. Your life will change overnight. Just do those three things. That's straight 4-hour work week from Tim Ferriss. Just do those things, and you'll never have a problem in terms of being distracted by this stack of goals. The caterpillar can become the butterfly because the branch is there. The system, the foundation, the opportunity is aligned in the way that you're going to actually be able to grow, which is different than when you have all this weight of all these other things you got to do. You got to check 100 emails a day. How could you possibly do 20 sales calls when you got to check 100 emails? Stop checking the emails. They're not doing anything. It's spam. It's not related to your business. It's not helping you move forward. It's taking time. It's costing money. It's costing time. It doesn't do anything for you. Yeah. So why do you continue to do it? Because of comfort.
Right. It's something that Ty Lopez said. He was like, poor people have notifications on their phone. And when I heard that 2 years ago, it blew my mind. And, now I don't have any notifications except for phone calls because people call me and stuff like that.
Sure.
It like breaks this like cycle that you have to, have these Facebook notifications because somebody likes your shit, or Instagram. Fuck that. Like, I use those things to generate revenue and like generate new clients in my business. And it's having that mindset to be like, look, anything instant gratification is going to make you poorer.
Immediately too, not even delayed. Just right now, you're going to be time poor.
Exactly. And then that time and that energy is now evaporated. And now you can't really focus and hone that fire in your belly. Like I teach people how to really like hone that fire and that focus and that consistency so they wake up with the fire of the gods in their belly so that they are now energized. They're now doing the focused work over time, which our beautiful friend compound interest then comes in and helps us a lot.
Right. Yeah. And so to wrap things up, just to kind of, get a framework here, give us, just a snippet of the kind of work that you do. So just like, how can people find you? How can they reach out to you? And then, very specifically, what problem can you solve for them?
Yeah. So so first off, the first place that you can find me and the best place is my website where you can go and schedule a free call with me is www.deronessex.com, DERONESSEX.com/schedule. Just go there and then you can schedule a call with me. What I help entrepreneurs with is that it's two to three things. It just depends on which ones they need. First thing, if they have traumas and wounds from the past of childhood, divorce, trust issues, lost a lot of money, death in the family, any traumas that is still holding their emotional energy at a low vibration. I help them to heal that and dismiss that and replace that with inner peace. People who they have negative thinking, or they're not confident in themselves, because that only is going to reflect in your business times 10. A business is only a big ass magnifying glass. So what happens is that basically I help them to recreate their self-image, to be a braver, bolder, confident version of themselves, so that they can go on those sales calls. So that if 5 people tell them no, they just laugh that shit off. Be like, oh, okay. They're just not, for my service. And then the last thing that I help people with is that if, they want to start a consulting company or a coaching company, and they want to, quickly scale to 4 to 5 figures a month, I help them to set that up, and I help them to learn how to sell, market, and create a course that people need. And so that's what I help people do. One of my case studies, his name is Dale Peters. He has a business. He helps musicians with their social media. And he came to me because he recognized that even though he made over $1 million in his business, he still felt something was off inside. He saw that his childhood wounds from his mom, and from his relationship with his mom, was still affecting every single relationship, causing him to go from divorce to divorce. And he saw this pattern, and he was like, I don't want my current relationship to be like my last 3 relationships. And so he started working with me. And then after he started working with me, I was able to help him heal that within 6 weeks. Help him completely take this anger, take this boiling frustration, this quick, pessimism, and completely turn himself into like a monk, as peaceful as a feather floating on water. And a result of that, I helped him shift his identity from this hurt little boy to this confident, God-like, divine version of himself. He was able to make more money in his business than ever before. He was able to lose physical weight because he was literally losing that emotional weight that was so stuck inside. His relationship went from damn near about to fall apart to a beautiful, beautiful state. And he was able to be at peace within himself by himself. So once again, if you want to have that kind of transformation, the best place to reach me is www.deronessex.com/schedule. And that's DERONESSEX.com/schedule.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Prospecting Show, and, have an awesome day.
Thank you, man. You too. Be blessed.
This episode is brought to you by Amigo Labs. Their goal is to build friendships and create marketing solutions for customers all around the United States. Amigo Labs provides strategies to reach your marketing goals. You can visit them online at www.amigolabs.com. That's AMIGOLABZ.com. Or email John directly at john@amigolabs.com.